All right, man.
Ready to check out some stuff?
All right, y'all.
All right, guys. So first, let's talk. This is it's not related to this story, but again, Elon was sharing this today. Other people were sharing this today, and it's a latest update from Dearborn. If only someone had been there 15, 16 years ago, warning people that things were going very, very, very bad in Dearborn and we're heading in a very dangerous direction. Oh, wait, I did. Told people, told everyone, showed them, locked us up, locked me up, locked Nabil up. Nabil was having a calm, peaceful conversation with some 15, 16-year-old Muslims, and I wasn't saying anything. I was standing there with holding a camera so that no one could say we did something that we didn't do. Police came, locked us up, threw us in jail. That was Dearborn 15 or 16 years ago. And now you've got this. You've got them screaming death to America and so on. Let's check it out.
Hey,
what?
الموت لأمريكا! الموت لأمريكا! الموت لأمريكا!
Not a great look. The mayor condemned it. The White House condemned it. But what about Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib? She reps Dearborn. Is she okay with her constituents chanting death to America?
So, guys, there's another serious problem. You've got a city of people. If anything ever went real, south, whose side do you think they're on here? I mean, Tommy Robinson would talk about this in Luton and so on when he's growing up. He'd say you'd have Muslims who, you get along with, that you grew up with and stuff like that. As soon as something came down to Muslims versus non-Muslims, they would instantly be on the Muslim side. Didn't matter. You could have known this guy your entire life. He was against you as soon as it became Muslims versus non-Muslims. Anyway, got a city right there. Death to America. But Rashida Tlaib, what?
So that guy standing there is part of an institute that is actually based in Dearborn. It's not based, but it's in Dearborn. And then
you heard it here. Dearborn is based.
Then an imam was also with him. That's what they did. It was a rally for Quds, for Jerusalem, for the Islamic takeover of Jerusalem, and that's what they did. They praised Islamic terrorist organizations and things like that, and shouted death to America after also shouting death to Israel. Of course, here's the thing. So over the last few years, I have kind of, I guess, a little bit moved away from sympathizing with absolute free speech. And I know it's not a popular thing to say, and it was especially not a very popular thing to say several years back. And I know that free speech is a very fundamental American value. Actually, not from the beginning, but from later on. But still, I think that if people who live inside the U.S. say something like "death to America," I think the government should take any step to simply kick them out and never let them back in.
Very rude. As far as AP's, as far as your concerns about freedom of speech and your Turkish-like hatred of freedom of speech, just have to point out again, everyone, the founding fathers said this. They said if you do not handle your freedoms responsibly and maintaining virtue, the system will not work. The system will break down. The system will break down. Everyone will be fighting each other. It will break down, and a tyrant will take over, and then you will not have freedom of speech. So it's not going to. It doesn't last. If you don't handle your freedoms responsibly, you lose them. That's just how it works. Let's see.
Fox Business correspondent Hillary Vaughn asked her. Watch.
Congresswoman Tlaib.
Fox News. I don't talk to Fox News.
At a rally in your district, people were chanting death to America. Do you condemn?
I do not talk to Fox News.
But do you condemn chants of death to America?
I don't talk to people that use racist tropes.
Why can't you just say whether or not you condemn people chanting death to America? Why are you afraid to talk to Fox?
Fox News is not listen, using race.
You know what's crazy? I would actually respect Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib right here if she just started screaming death to America, because it'd be like, we know that's what you believe. We know that, right? We know that. I mean, you specifically, you have all sorts of Muslims who just, want the best for America and so on. But her, yeah, we know where she stands. So would actually respect the honesty more.
Racist tropes towards my community is what Fox News is about, and I don't talk to Fox News.
Is death to America racist?
Fox News.
Is chanting death to America racist?
Talking about your guys' racist tropes. You know, you guys know exactly what you do. I know you're Islamophobic, but you guys got to go deal with it on your own self. You're not going
Look
to
at
use
this.
me.
Listen to this. Listen to this. She says, I don't talk to Fox News. That's her excuse, right? And then she goes on to talk multiple sentences to them about how they're racist, about how they're bad, and this and this and that, while she cannot be bothered to simply, for a second, say that she condemns that chant. So obviously she does want to talk about it when she has something to say, but she obviously doesn't have something to say about this phrase "death to America." That's it. She's more concerned about the fake thing called Islamophobia, which is no thing, and it probably should be under the circumstances.
And think, I mean, at this point, she no longer needs to ever respond to any criticism, right? Because, I mean,
Yep.
she's the congresswoman from Michigan. That's Dearborn. That's Dearborn. Those are her people. They're shouting death to America. Hey, do you condemn that? Well, imagine, you know, you had a bunch of
racist.
Yeah, what if you have these guys calling for terrorist attacks and stuff like that? Hey, do you condemn it? Nope.
Racist!
Nope, because that's a racist trope against Muslims. This is Islamophobia. So it's basically they could do anything they want. She wouldn't have to condemn it because she can say, nope, this is just you guys being Islamophobes. Great. It's awesome. Awesome little method there. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
Racist, Islamophobe, racist.
Islamophobia is a powerful tool, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and glance at this article here. We'll glance at this, not like the El Zut glanced at Muhammad, but check this out. All right, this is from ABC News. 2 National Guardsmen were ambushed Wednesday in the nation's capital in what officials are calling a targeted shooting. The suspected gunman has been identified by law enforcement as 29-year-old. Have you heard this pronounced? Rahmanullah Lakanwal. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. We'll hear it in a clip. Rahmanullah Lakanwal. He will be charged with 3 counts of assault with the intent to kill while armed and criminal possession of a weapon, officials said during a press conference on Thursday. You picked the wrong target, the wrong city, and the wrong country, and you will be sorry for the violence and the evil you perpetrated in our nation's capital, Janine Pirro, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, told reporters Thursday. Go and see this. So that's this awesome, super nice guy. And let's see. After the president, Donald Trump announced the death of one of the guardsmen injured in the shooting, Pirro said Friday the suspect's charges would be upgraded to first-degree murder. It is unclear when those charges will be unsealed. There are certainly many more charges to come, but we are upgrading the initial charges of assault to murder in the first degree, Pirro said on Fox and Friends on Friday. Let's see. Lakanwal is believed to be from Afghanistan and came to the United States in 2021 under the Biden administration. You see, law enforcement sources said he applied for asylum in 2024 and was granted asylum in April. You see, under the Trump administration, multiple administrations working together because this guy works for the CIA. The suspect, who has a wife, 5 children, and a brother in the U.S., allegedly had been unable to find a job because he had an expired work permit, according to a source familiar with the suspect's circumstance.
Wait, a wife, 5 children, and a brother. Is the brother also one of the children? Oh.
Well, let's see. So his wife is most likely his first cousin.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't even know. We don't even know. Allegedly had been unable to find a job because he had an expired work permit, according to a source familiar with the suspect's circumstance. Lakanwal, who had become more isolated the past few months and was growing desperate, could not pay rent or food and was relying on others, the source added. When asked Thursday about when the suspect, by the way, guys, this is all part of understanding something. When asked Thursday about when the suspect was granted asylum, FBI Director Kash Patel did not answer, instead referring to a statement from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. He was likely vetted before being granted asylum this year. According to Noem, there have been 8,000 such individuals since Trump took office. Noem and Patel have both suggested in recent congressional testimony that the administration had carefully scrutinized all of them. Well, that's good to know. Did a good job right there. During my tenure, we are going through the databases to make sure that no known or suspected terrorists enter this country to harm our nation. Wow, you guys are doing a bang-up job, Patel told the Senate Judiciary Committee in September. Here we get to the good stuff. Gunman previously worked for the CIA, hence the conspiracies. The suspect previously worked with the U.S. government, including the CIA, as a member of a partner force in Kandahar, which ended in 2021 following the withdrawal from Afghanistan, according to CIA Director John Ratcliffe. I guess that's the scene. Streets are blocked after reports that 2 National Guard soldiers were shot near the White House. The individual and so many others should have never been allowed to come here, Ratcliffe said. In Afghanistan, the suspect was involved with the Zero Unit. I mean, they kind of sound like losers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think you got like Delta Force and stuff like that. And hey, we're the Zeros. Powerful. The suspect was involved with the Zero Unit, also known as the Zut Unit, working closely with the CIA and the Joint Special Operations Command. According to sources familiar with the investigation, the suspect was a trusted member of that team, which went after U.S. counterterrorism targets, according to sources. Guys, it's very important to pay attention to what's going on here. So this guy worked for the U.S., helping take out targets. So who would this have been? This would have been taking out Taliban, jihadis, and so on. Sources said the FBI is currently investigating the shooting as a potential act of international terrorism, suggesting authorities are trying to determine if it may have been inspired by an international terrorist organization. So they're wondering if someone's calling the shots on this, for this dude, right? Like this guy was undercover for some organization working with the CIA, but he's really working for someone else, or he joined some other group since then, and some jihadi group said, all right, go take out some National Guardsmen or something like that. Patel said officials are looking into whether the suspect had any associates overseas, drove across the country. Wow. Officials said the suspect has a wife and 5 children. He drove from his residence in Washington state to the nation's capital prior to the shooting and targeted the guardsmen, officials said. Somebody drove across the country to Washington, D.C. to attack America, said D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. A search warrant, Bowser from Mario Brothers? A search warrant was conducted at the suspect's home in Bellingham, Washington, where officials found numerous electronic devices. Patel added that this is a coast-to-coast investigation. Officials are interviewing individuals at the suspect's home and in San Diego, where the alleged shooter has ties. In addition to his wife and children, sources familiar with the investigation said the suspect has a brother in the United States. All right, let's see what happened. Guardsmen were ambushed by the suspect. Pirro said the gunman, who opened fire without provocation, ambush style, struck one of the victims, leaned over and shot the individual again. The suspect then shot the other guard member several times. The weapon used in the shooting was a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver, officials said. The suspect allegedly got shot by a third member of the National Guard and then was subdued, but officials did not say how many shots were fired at or by the suspect. There we've got everyone there. In an address on Wednesday night, Trump confirmed that the suspected gunman is believed to have entered the U.S. from Afghanistan. It was a crime. Was this Trump? It was a crime against our entire nation. It was a crime against humanity. Trump said the shooting underscores the single greatest national security threat facing our nations, the biggest, and the U.S. must now re-examine every single alien from Afghanistan who has entered our country under Biden and who must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. There you have it. President. Anything else? The Guard members, 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom and 24-year-old Andrew Wolf, were conducting high-visibility patrols at the time of the attack, according to law enforcement officials. On Thursday, Trump announced Beckstrom, an Army specialist, had died. Wolf, a U.S. Air Force staff sergeant, remains in critical condition.
May God protect him.
The condition of the suspect has not been released. He looked fine. I mean, apart from having no pee-pee, he looked fine in the pictures. So Pirro said that the suspect's charges could change depending on the conditions of the victims. If the two Guards members do not survive, Pirro said the suspect will be charged with first-degree murder. They already said that. Got to update these things better. Motive has not been immediately... There you go. A motive has not immediately been determined. However, Bowser said the individual appeared to target the Guard members. You think? What we know is that this is a targeted shooting, and one individual appeared to target these guardsmen. Patel said the case is being carried out as an attack on a federal law enforcement officer, adding that the victims are heroes. National Guard was deployed to the nation's capital as part of Trump's federal takeover of the city in August. There are 2,188 National Guard personnel assigned to D.C., according to the most recent update. All right. Y'all got that?
She was 20 years old. Sarah Beckstrom was 20 years old and was killed. The other, Andrew Wolf, the other National Guard member, is 24 years old, fighting for his life. So I don't know what to say. It's a horrible thing to do, and I hope people look out, and I hope God protects the other ones. Here's the thing. I have seen a lot of people discuss this, and I've seen a lot of people talk about how it's the Biden administration's fault. The Biden administration let these people in. The Biden administration housed them and all that. I'm sorry, but the housing of so-called allies, of people who are considered victims or at risk among Afghans in Afghanistan, has continued under the Trump administration, and there has been very little done in terms of getting these people out or getting these people back. We talk a lot about, this is the issue. We talk a lot about the Mexican border and things like that. I'm sorry, but why hasn't the Trump administration taken full force and dealt with all these people taken over? So this guy was brought over under a program called the Operation Allies Refuge, where they bring so-called or suspected at-risk Afghans and bring them over to the United States to stay here temporarily and to, just be safe from the Taliban, and then to do something else with them, either to stay here permanently afterwards or to send them somewhere else. Over 100,000 people were admitted under this program. It's, I understand that when you are... When you engage in international, in foreign interventionism, and when America goes and actually occupies a nation and conducts military operations there for security and safety and all that, and we have to say one thing, which is that the whole idea of actually occupying and trying to bring democracy there and keeping it safe is naive, nonsensical stupidity. I'm glad that it was finally put to an end.
Pause. I know you're contending, but people need to understand why. I'll just say very quickly, guys. We have this mentality because that's what worked with us. That regular people just want freedom and democracy, and so if nations don't have that, it's because they have a messed up government. So all you need to do get rid of the tyrant or the bad government and so on, and then freedom and democracy will flourish. Tons and tons and tons of people have died because of that stupid idea. I mean, even the founding fathers here, they said this can work here because we have a certain type of population that is ready for it. And then what do they say? If you had a different sort of population, it wouldn't work. It would be a disaster. And then we sort of lost sight of that, and we just think, hey, just go around. Hey, get rid of Saddam Hussein, then freedom and democracy will flourish. What'd you get? ISIS. Get rid of Gaddafi. Get rid of Assad. Get rid of these guys. Get rid of the tyrants, and then freedom and democracy will flourish. When does that work? You don't have the right kind of population. The only population you have anywhere around there where it looks like it could actually work would be Iran. You might there. I think you have enough people who want freedom and democracy there that it might actually work, or even the return of the return of the Shah or something like that. But yeah, so we have this idea, and we go over there, and hey, they got the Taliban over there. Let's get rid of it. Let's just take out the Taliban, and then freedom and democracy will flourish. Well, we tried that for decades, and then had to leave because it's just not working. And so, yeah, bad idea that leads to tons and tons of bad consequences. But note, everyone's involved in that, right? George Bush, Obama, first Trump, Biden, second Trump. Everyone's kind of part of that, right? Because everyone played some sort of role. And guess what? Once you do that stupid idea, we're going to go over there and stay there and try to prop up a government in a place where, what is it, like 99% of people want Sharia there?
There are some polls. There are conflicting ideas. There are some who say that they would accept a deal that would bring about proper elections or democracy or something like that. But even among those, the majority want an Islamic democracy or an Islamic government with once again Islamic laws in charge. Half the country doesn't want a democracy. They support the Taliban, and this is the issue. I'm sorry to say this, but the United States government and the people in the leadership have so often lied to the people, lied to the average American, lied to the people, and say, "Oh yeah, they want us there. They like us. They just want freedom." No, they don't. They don't want you there. They don't like you there. They hate you. They don't want your help. You should leave them to their own filth and let them do whatever they want to do. It shouldn't be your business. You shouldn't be using your resources and your army men, your people, your youth to go over there and to do the dirt for these underdeveloped, uncivilized people that can hardly be called people sometimes.
Oh,
because
hey, just wanted to correct on they don't want your help. Sometimes they do want your help, but it's just, in other words, if 99% of the population want Sharia of some variety, but they think the Taliban is doing it wrong, they're the wrong kind of Sharia, then, we'd love for the U.S. to come and help us so we can get rid of these guys, and then we'll be in charge, and then we'll have our kind of Sharia and so on. So you're basically being useful idiots. You think you're inventing a Western nation over there or something like that, and you live in fantasy land, man. If you have massive portions of the population that want Sharia, it's not going to go in your favor. So either figure out a way to really deal with the problem or stay out of that crap.
You can stay there for 50 years. You can stay there for 100 years. You will not change a thing. The only way to change it would be to colonize the place and to replace the population with your own population and to take it over
Turks.
then and do it like that.
Turks and Germans.
Or to push those people out and just take the land over. And none of it would be a good thing to do. So, and there is this whole idea that, if we're waging wars, if we are at a war, it should be for noble purposes. We should do it for noble, for good purposes, for humanitarian purposes. And if we waged war and destroyed half the country, then we should also stay there and build it up. No, why? Wage war against it, destroy it, and then get out and let them deal with it. It would have been much better. Would have been much better consequences for everybody involved than whatever the heck this is. And there shouldn't be any program to accept any asylum seekers from Afghanistan or any of those places into this country. America doesn't have the responsibility. The West doesn't have the moral responsibility to take in a bunch of refugees from here and there and everywhere. Just leave it alone, man. You can't deal with it. Leave it alone.
All right, here we had a disagreement. Ethio Chica says, sorry, I disagree with AP and David Wood for the first time. This is the first time you've agreed with all the idiotic things we've ever said before until this?
That's pretty good, Ethio Chica.
That's not good. That's disturbing. Anyone who says they always agree with us, I'd be like, what? I don't always agree with us. We'll do something. We'll be like, that was stupid what AP just said.
I know. Sometimes I suggest something or say something, and then I think, okay, that was the dumbest thing ever. So, yeah.
All right, so what are we wrong about? We're not sure what you're disagreeing with. Are you saying we should go and try to build Afghanistan into a nice place and should have just stayed there indefinitely? Or was it the more general thing about how I said taking out the bad leaders and so on, the tyrants, doesn't work if you don't have a population that's ready for some sort of massive change?
Oh, Ithio Chika, if you say that we are wrong, then we are probably wrong. So I apologize.
Yeah. Let me break it down like this, specifically with Saddam Hussein, right? You got a couple of different possibilities here, ladies and gentlemen. You can have a good, stable government, a bad but stable government. In other words, you have some sort of tyrant, but he maintains stability. You can go to school and stuff like this. No one's gonna, if you get out of line, he's gonna crush you. But as long as you're just, working and stuff like that, raising your family, he's not going to interfere. He'll be brutal to you if you cross him. But other than, guess what? That's someone like Saddam, right? Or you can have a bad and unstable government, right? Chaos, things constantly falling apart. So we always look at the bad but stable government and say, hey, wouldn't it be great if they had a good stable government? So we'll just get rid of the bad guy, the tyrant, get rid of him, and then they can have a good stable government. And what happens? They get chaos instead. Why? Because what did you have in Iraq? You have a pretty big mix of Sunnis and Shias, and a bunch of those guys wanted to start blowing up each other's mosques. There was relative peace under Saddam. Why? They're terrified of that guy. It's like if you have a bunch of wolves, but a lion walks in, the wolves are scared of the lion. They're not focusing on doing whatever wolves want to do. They're terrified of a lion that just walked in the room, right? So the jihadis, the people who want to go and start fights and blow up each other's mosques and go make Christians pay the jizya and so on, they're there. They just know if they go do what jihadis want to do, Saddam's going to be rolling into their town the next day with tanks and mowing them down. So they couldn't do it. So they're terrified of this guy. Then we get rid of him. See, people just want freedom and democracy. We'll get rid of the tyrants and replace him with someone, Western approved. And the jihadis are not scared of that dude. What do? Instantly, they start blowing up each other's mosques, and then things eventually break down, and then you get ISIS forming, and just absolute bloodbath.
That was so dumb.
It was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
It was pretty dumb. So anyway, the point is, if you have some brilliant plan about taking out the tyrant to replace, you better have a really, 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 really good plan of how to replace him while accomplishing whatever he was accomplishing to keep all the terrorists at bay. You better figure out a way to do that, because if you get rid of him without that, you're getting a bloodbath every single time. And then you're going, what? We don't get it. We thought they just wanted freedom and democracy. Well, that's because you're a bunch of morons who've been told all your lives by your politicians and by journalists and by educators and by entertainers that Islam is just wonderful and Islam is all about peace and tolerance. So if you have a bad leader, he's actually against Islam. Get rid of that guy, and then the freedom and tolerance of Islam will flourish. Why doesn't it ever work like that?
David just said all Americans are a bunch of morons.
Yes, that's true. All right, so that was a huge digression. I cut you off, so go right back to your thought before I went on that 10-minute tirade. whatever your last thought was.
Now, my last thought was that it was so dumb to get rid of Saddam in that way and to replace him with something else. It wasn't dumb to get rid of him. It was good to get rid of him, but replacing him with something else and doing the same mess over there was so dumb.
Yeah, just so to be clear, Saddam, evil tyrant. Assad, evil tyrant. Gaddafi, evil. These are bad guys, right? The point here is that there can be worse things. There are worse things. You can have worse things than the guy you're worried about, and when you get rid of that guy, you can end up with something seriously worse. Now, what was your defense of Assad, saying that he's the best guy ever?
No, I was going to say that. So with Assad, so as sad as the situation was in Syria,
it was sad. Come on, dude.
That's all I wanted to say. Sorry, go ahead.
Jokes. This is what we get here, ladies and gentlemen. Talking about serious stuff, and what do we get? We get
As
jokes.
sad as it was so dumb to do this, you know. So yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm giving up. I gotta get off of here. You caught it, didn't you? Oh man, that was terrible. Oh, if you didn't catch it, guys, he made a Saad pun, a Saddam pun, and then I made a Gaddafi pun. That was terrible, and I never want to do that again.
It's as sad as it is so dumb. I get out of here.
Gaddafi here.
Get off. Okay,
All
anyway,
right. So
continue.
what were you concluding about Afghanistan?
Wasn't concluding anything. Well, I was saying that I was just saying that they should be banning all asylum seekers from Afghanistan. That's all. Continue.
Here's the weird thing. So the U.S. had a dumb plan, but they had a bunch of people in Afghanistan who were their allies. Now, I have to say, I think you do have some kind of obligation. If you're the one who came up with a stupid idea and you had a bunch of people working with you, and then you pull out and leave them at the mercy of the Taliban that they've been fighting against, and these guys are all dead, or these guys are all going to die for being your allies in fighting against the Taliban, which now takes over. I think you should try to help these guys somehow. But there's a huge problem with that idea of, well, we'll just take all these guys in. There's a huge, serious, major problem, which we will get to. And it's something that it doesn't end with this guy. You're going to see this over and over and over again. And you've created a huge, giant mess here.